Hello everybody, welcome to Power Circuit. This time we are speaking from our newsroom today as Himachal is voting Pallavi. So we were in Himachal last week as you know, and today we are in our newsrooms watching the polling which started at 8 a.m. today, and good number of women polling. We can see those huge queues of which is famous in Himachal. The women vote in Himachal in big numbers, nearly 48-49% electorate is women. So Pallavi, what do you think is happening? Which way is the state swinging?
I mean, till now the voting percentage which has come from the election commission is roughly around 11 to 12%. So I guess either it starts picking up till lunchtime and then post lunch it picks up. Also, I mean, the weather is pretty chilly there, so I guess people will want to finish up their voting. You're right. I mean, this is what you and I gathered when we traveled to Shimla and to Solan. I mean, the women voters matter, the old pensioners matter, and it's interesting because the few voices which we heard since morning also, the women are talking about the fact that they're quite satisfied, but they're all looking for jobs. They want to assert themselves. They want to have their own identity, which is what I think both the BJP and the Congress party do realize, and therefore they are also giving them a lot of socks, 1,500 rupees into the bank account promised by the Congress party, reservation for government jobs, and everyone wants a government job there because for them it gives a lot of security, and therefore. I guess that's one thing which they're going to look out at for the BJP. BJP has had a big bang campaign over there. Since morning we've been seeing Anurag Thakur, JP Nadda, former Chief Minister, Dhoomer over there. Do you get a sense, Aman, that for the BJP, their trump card does remain the Prime Minister?
Absolutely. I think, at the end of the day, we have seen it in repeated states that, where BJP has been in power, that when the going is against the party, there is an anti-incumbency and all that. PM Modi has that capability to change the narrative in the state. So we saw that in Uttarakhand, we saw it in UP, where everybody said that a government has not been repeated for so long, but BJP came back with a huge mandate in UP. BJP did the latest in Uttarakhand also, where everybody thought that under Harish Rawat, the Congress is getting its act together and will cash in on the anti-incumbency and come to power. But again, we saw what happened there. So in Himachal also, there is this almost 3-decade-long tradition that governments change every 5 years. So, Pallavi, even if you see, I think the Prime Minister Modi's last 2 rallies on Sirmaur and Hamirpur, which he did, I think the message was very clear that, he clearly said that जब मैं सरकार में होता हूँ, जब मैं 2014 में सरकार में आया तो 2014 से 2017 तक मुझे, क्योंकि कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट थी हिमाचल में, उन्होंने मुझे काम नहीं करने दिया. And since 2017, when the same government came in Himachal, as it was in the center, we have given aims to Himachal, we're bringing an IIM to Himachal, we're bringing a triple IIT to Himachal, we brought the Vande Bharat train to Himachal, Atal Tunnel has been inaugurated in Himachal. So plethora of infrastructure projects came to Himachal after PM Modi said that he and the Himachal government same were of the BJP. So clearly PM stressing this point very strongly, I think in his last rallies, that give BJP a chance again. If you bring the Congress back and do the same rivas as has been going on for 3 decades, the development in Himachal will stop. So that is, I think, the Prime Minister's main pitch. He did not speak on the controversial and the most talked about issue in the elections, the old pension scheme, in his last 2 rallies. But BJP has been, been on a bit of defensive on that. But I think BJP, is banking majorly on the PM's charisma. And as we traveled, Pallavi, you will agree that PM remains extremely popular in the state. He's there on all the hoardings in the Himachali cap, appealing to
voters. The BJP knows this.
BJP knows it. BJP Kashi, he's the biggest campaigner. And before the BJP, I think the campaign was more about the PM and less about the CM. Though Mr. Nadda and everybody has said that Mr. Jairam Thakur will be the next CM if BJP wins. But clearly the party, I think, has stressed far more on the face of the Prime Minister and his appeal towards the electorate.
And which is why the Congress didn't want to fall into a trap. They did not want to start attacking the Prime Minister, knowing that the moment you do so, the advantage goes to the BJP. Instead, you try to stick to local issues and the local leadership, which happens to be Jairam Thakur, which many in the BJP perhaps are also not entirely happy about. And I also think that comment of the Prime Minister where he said, don't look at the candidate, look at the lotus, look at me. I think that was a very clear campaign pitch by the Prime Minister where he brought the focus on himself. He knows that he is the trump card. But the problem now is with the Congress. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the Congress party.
Why is Congress always a problem? Pallavi, why do you say that?
Well, look at the track record. I mean, you will be a little bit more objective because I cover the Congress party, so sometimes I go deep into it and I start becoming a little cynical about it, and you, of course, will also be more objectively cynical. But here's the thing with the Congress party, they tend to become comfortable a little bit too so. शुरू में They were very slow in taking up the campaign. They knew there was infighting. I mean, I know you've written about the rebel factor and all of that, but there is an infighting factor in the Congress also. I know Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, and then you have Mukesh Agnihotri, you have Pratibha Singh. All of them want to become the chief minister. ये पता भी नहीं कि जीत रहे हैं कि नहीं जीत रहे. The fight has already begun. I shudder and dread to think what's going to happen in case the Congress wins in Himachal. So, you pitch on the legacy of Veerbhadra Singh, you use a Pratibha Singh, you pitch for a woman voters. How can you then not make the woman a chief minister in case the Congress comes to power? You think that's going to be one issue they may have to deal with? Because, remember, Himachal is going to be followed up by Gujarat, Karnataka, and the 2024 Lok Sabha elections.
I think let's look at the flip side of it. No, I would look maybe at the positive side of it first.
Objective side.
In my personal opinion, I think Congress has done a good campaign in Himachal.
I agree on that.
It is one of the better campaigns of the Congress in a state in the recent times. One major reason, Himachal मतलब एक ठंडा स्टेट है. यहाँ पे पॉलिटिक्स इतनी बिटर नहीं होती है. लोग सीधे साधे हैं, as we know, we heard on the ground कि भोले भाले सीधे साधे लोग हैं हिमाचल के. यहाँ पे बिटर तू में नहीं होता है पॉलिटिक्स में. So in a way, Congress kept its campaign a bit low key है, but I think it was quite effective. Effective in the sense that the promises which they made, the two major promises, if I pick up, one is the restoring the old pension scheme in the first cabinet meeting if Congress comes to power, and giving 1,500 rupees to each woman in the state in the first cabinet meeting when Congress comes to power. So these are very two clear, crisp promises. And Congress has fought an entire campaign, I think, on these two promises. And who was giving these promises out is a woman leader herself in Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, saying that, we will give these two things to you. So it was a woman appealing to women and also to the Karamcharis. So I think that was one good part of the Congress campaign. I think the second good part also is that, there is a legacy of Veerbhadra Singh. He's been a chief minister for almost 2 decades, 5-term chief minister, and we see that on every poster that Congress ko, and there were ads also, Veerbhadra Singh ko bhulna nahi hai. Congress has tried to appeal to the electorate. He has goodwill in the state. When Veerbhadra Singh passed away last year, you see Pratibha Singh fought from Mandi Lok Sabha seat, which is the home seat of the chief minister, Jairam Thakur, and Pratibha Singh has won that seat, against the run of play. So in a way, that shows that Veerbhadra Singh's family, there is
a huge crowd at the ridge where his, dead body was also kept for paying tribute. And common people went there. Yeah.
So that is there, and so in a way, I would place my bets if the Congress wins in Himachal. That's a big if. We don't want to predict here. I think Congress will go for Pratibha Singh because she is the natural successor to the thing, and even
and also the woman factor.
Also the woman factor, because if, ultimately whoever wins this election will be due to women voting for that party. So I think it will be Pratibha Singh who should be chosen by the Congress as the chief ministerial face. She's also the PCC chief, and tradition has been that PCC chiefs become the chief ministers in the Congress. The flip side of it, I think, I thought you correctly say that Congress, I think, also was a bit peaked too early, maybe in the campaign. They thought that, ये election तो हम जीत ही रहे हैं. We saw that when we met a few Congress leaders saying हम ये election जीत रहे हैं. और BJP जो मर्जी के हम election जीत रहे हैं. But BJP is such a well-oiled election machinery under Mr. Modi that when, I remember speaking to a few BJP leaders and telling them this, when we were discussing it and I said Congress is doing well, they said wait for Mr. Modi to go there.
Yeah.
And when Mr. Modi goes there, he has that capability to swing 10, 15, 20, 25% of the voters, depending on which state it is and what the issues are. But he has that appeal in any state. So when Mr. Modi, he did only 4 rallies, but I think 4 very effective rallies, where he attacked the Congress on very specific points. So I think Mr. Modi has that. So essentially, it is a fight between the Congress organizational machinery and the legacy of Veerbhadra Singh and his family versus the charisma of the Prime Minister, which outweighs each other, I think, will determine the selection.
Yes, and they give the last, they're saying that in any race, in a relay race or any race, the last push really matters. And I think they kept it for that. And I don't know why the Congress party never understands this, because, in election after election, just when things seem to be so uncertain, the BJP will unleash their power, and in this case, of course, the Prime Minister. And look at the things he did. I mean, I think it was the day he was going to Sirmaur, the last rally of the Prime Minister. We had those pictures out from the government, where, the gifts which are going to be given by the Prime Minister at the G20 summit. And they were all a slice of Himachali culture and art.
Him meeting the ex-servicemen and the rallies.
Yeah, and that is so interesting, because Himachal mein tourism, the fact that our culture, our art is going to get a global space and the Prime Minister is doing it, all of these things start having a kind of a mind game on the voters, and therefore it matters a lot.
BJP is great at this.
BJP is great, and more than that, I would give credit to the Prime Minister. I think the Prime Minister is, and whoever is doing it, it understands that very well. But it's interesting to talk about the Priyanka Gandhi Vadra factor. Rahul Gandhi stayed away, and I know you wrote that piece about why he should have gone to Gujarat. But the take of the Congress party is that he's going to stay away from any campaign. But Priyanka Gandhi Vadra clearly has taken the lead there. She has a home in Shimla. I mean, around Shimla itself. She has a home in Shimla, so she's going to project and try to project herself as someone who belongs to Himachal, as much as the Prime Minister has roots with Himachal. That's one. And of course, the woman factor. And you have a Kharge going there. See, what I found very interesting, was that he did something which the Congress party's top leadership has never done, that accessibility factor. I mean, when was the last time a Congress president, Sonia or Rahul Gandhi, would go and meet the backstage party workers? At least Kharge did that before he addressed that rally. So in that sense, it's also a litmus test for the Congress party. We'll wait and analyze it on the day of the counting takes place on 8th.
Well, I would say that I think, if I say something like, I think Priyanka Gandhi Vadra had a much better campaign in Himachal than what she did in UP. This is perhaps one of her better campaigns. I was listening into some of her rallies, and our reporters also went and attended few of her rallies. What we, what our team got to learn is that, people were receptive, and she was very clear and crisp. So, there was no roundabout way of saying.
But she's always been a better speaker than her brother.
Yeah, she has been. Also. She has been. And Rahul stayed away. I don't know what that works out well for the Congress or works out badly for the Congress. We know when the result comes. But also, I think, as you correctly say, the election Congress has made it against the CM.
Yeah.
They don't want to make it a fight versus the PM, which they have done in some states and learn their lessons from. They want to keep it at the same. In fact, when Vikramaditya Singh gave an interview to us, he clearly said that ये so election है, PM की rally में तो भीड़ आएगी because PM popular है. He in fact said that, but ये election PM का नहीं है. PM को तो वोट डल गया ना 19 में. अब ये state का election है, Himachal's voters, he said, can differentiate between a central election and a state election. So इसमें CM जयराम ठाकुर की performance का audit हो रहा है. PM की performance का audit नहीं हो रहा है. So Congress has made that point very, very clear that we are fighting this election on the performance of Jairam Thakur, not on the performance of the Prime Minister. But BJP obviously says that double engine की सरकार होगी तो infrastructure आएगा. I think BJP का infrastructure pitch in this election has been very, very strong. In repeated speeches, work has also been done in Himachal. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Highways have been built, roads have been built.
Good. Roads were very good.
Yeah. So everything has been, the infrastructure has definitely come to Himachal. I think coming next to the point also, Pallavi, I think अब अगर election तो आज हो जाएगा, लंबी wait है till 8 December हो गई.
There's Gujarat also.
There's Gujarat also, but अगर election Congress जीत जाती है हिमाचल में तो CM कौन बनेगा?
Oh God, that's going to be a huge headache for them. Do you think we'll have to go to Shimla maybe to stake ourselves out, because this is a problem with the Congress. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. When they win elections, it's a headache. When they don't win elections, then also it's a headache. But I think there will be many important lessons perhaps the Congress party would learn. In case they win in Himachal, I think in other state elections, they're also going to start focusing on the fact, don't attack the Prime Minister. Like in Gujarat, last time round, and we are going to be traveling to Gujarat and getting our power circuit, so we're pitching for that as well. But in Gujarat, the last time round, when the Congress did well in 2017, where was the mistake made when they attacked the Prime Minister?
Yeah.
And I think and even Sonia Gandhi's famous Maut Ka Saudagar, that's something which they have never been able to recover from. I think that's one lesson they may learn in case they win Himachal, that never attack the Prime Minister. Keep the focus on the local leadership. The big election actually after Himachal for the Congress will be Karnataka. That's where the Bharat Jodo Yatra was. That's where they got the traction. They have some senior leaders over there, and the BJP is not too very strong at this point of time.
Yeah, and I think Himachal may also, though we are speaking that some issues were in favor of the Congress, I think let's not discount the BJP at all. The BJP has a great ability in a close election to win it. When the gets and यहाँ पे 68 seats हैं, it's every seat polls like 50-60,000 votes. So margins are very less. In such an election, BJP is very good at
Uttarakhand, they showed that
winning close elections. BJP always has an edge because one, their whole publicity machinery, the campaign machinery which goes in, and second, their organizational machinery on the ground to actually get their voter to the polling booth. And when the figures finally come in today, we will realize how many women voters are there. And Mahila factor in Himachal, I think this time is very, very important. More so because we have seen in UP and Uttarakhand this issue playing out where, women got free rations and, the families in COVID times that has come. Women have got a plethora of Himachal, Pallavi is one state which is the highest in penetration of many central schemes, be it Ujjwala, be it Har Ghar Jal, be it PM Awas Yojana. In a way, high number of penetration of central schemes, and most of these schemes are targeted at women. So we saw these bites coming earlier when our reporters or TV reporters were speaking to women there. Women saying sab mila hai. So in a way, women can't complain कि कुछ मिला नहीं है, but Congress tries to entice the women with BJP has called a reverie politics by promising this 1,500 rupees a month to women in Himachal. So that is one promise, because I think Congress also realized that to pull the women towards their side, they need to offer something, because women have been very strongly with the BJP. BJP, I think, is banking a lot on women and the youth voter to back them.
And the Congress is banking a lot on the elderly population, the old, the pension population, and the apple growers belt. So again, those statistics in these two areas, or where the population is, that will be very important, because if the seniors, the elders are particularly very upset, and the Congress is hoping that the edge which the BJP may have from the women voters is actually compensated. If these, I mean, we spoke to Mr. Sharma, was that in the mall area, wearing that
Ishwarda Sharma.
Yeah, Ishwarda Sharma. I mean, he said that every time he kept on talking about pension. So that is something which the Congress party is hoping on, which is why Rahul Gandhi, when he gave his last tweet before the polling takes place, did mention that this is what we're going to do. OPS is the first election. Apple growers, because especially the upper parts of Himachal, Kinnaur, and those areas above Kyog and all, the apple growers are very important, because that's the mainstay of the economy over there, and they are very upset with this entire, the whole idea of where you're selling it to the middlemen and all that. And I think the Congress is banking on these two combinations.
Bilkul.
But also, you mentioned the Congress, the BJP's organization. This time round, 6 months pehle the Youth Congress have been there on the ground. Whether they will be successful in taking it to the booth, that also is going to be very important.
Old pension scheme, one thing also is there, that old pension scheme, people say about 2 lakh government servants and pensioners in Himachal Pradesh. 2 lakh, अगर government तो उनकी family भी है, तो 6-7 लाख वोटर हो गए.
Survive on that.
Family survival, 6-7 लाख वोटर को हो गए, 55 लाख वोटर्स का टोटल स्टेट है. But what is also important in Himachal कि ये जो government servants का जो section है, 2 lakh government servants और pensioners हैं, they are very influential factor. They will sit in this chair की चौपाल and tell 10 other people कि इसको वोट डालो. They have that factor, that they have that influence in Himachal. जो यूपी में हम कहें कि जाट्स का influence है, या Brahmin voter bank influence. They influence other people how to vote.
But the same is true about women also.
True about women also.
Yeah.
So I spoke to a Congress leader in Himachal who said कि women भी तो कर्मचारी हैं ना. तो आप कह रहे हैं women सारी BJP के साथ.
But many of the women are looking for government jobs, which the BJP's manifesto talks about. And remember when we were speaking to someone in the Shimla mall, there were these batches of 4-5 women, and they were complaining about the fact that why should the men be in the forefront? हम क्यों पीछे रहे? हमें भी आगे आना है. So the BJP would certainly want more and more women to come out. To come and vote, because that's where they are pinning their hope.
Prime Minister जब गए थे हिमाचल, तो रैली का ट्वीट भी उनका यही था कि the youth and the women especially are backing us.
Yes.
So very clearly, I think the
first time vote.
The pensioners and the government servants, Congress is wooing, and the women and the youth is what BJP is wooing. Who's outwooing each other might determine this election. इतना tight election रहता है हिमाचल में. Always Pallavi, that last election भी 17 का देखें तो 7% के वोट डिफरेंस पे सरकार बना था. हमेशा 6 से 7% का वोट डिफरेंस है सिर्फ बीजेपी कांग्रेस में. तो इट्स अ वेरी टाइट इलेक्शन. और इस इलेक्शन में आई थिंक वन मोर इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट आम आदमी पार्टी बैठ गया इलेक्शन में,
which helps the Congress party,
which helps the Congress, because एंटी इनकम्बेंसी वोट जो है वो डिवाइड नहीं होने के चांस हैं, बिकॉज़ आम आदमी पार्टी इज नोवेयर एंड उसके टॉप लीडर्स.
Till now the vote percentage is not too high, so I mean I don't know what it really means. One can never say. That is something I've never been able to understand.
किसके फेवर में वोट करेगा, we don't know. But I think women voter percentage फिर भी शायद हाई रहेगा. हिमाचल में हमेशा हाई रहता है. And as you said, it's cold, so people will come out once the sun is out.
We women are going out more and more to vote than the men. Yeah. I think so.
Which is a good thing.
We're more influential.
Yes, we are women. Obviously, women ने सरकार बनाई है बीजेपी का. Women is something that BJP has. That is a new, जैसे वो कहते हैं ना, नया वोट बैंक बीजेपी ने बना दिया. बाकी पार्टी had a caste vote bank, बीजेपी क्रिएटेड महिला वोट बैंक. पार्टीज राशन अभी तक मिल रहा है, हिमाचल में भी मिल रहा है. दिसंबर तक over 2 years now BJP has given free ration during COVID tenure. I think all those factors play out. राशन की इतनी बात हिमाचल में मैंने नहीं सुनी इस बार जितनी यूपी एंड उत्तराखंड we had heard more. हिमाचल में maybe that factor is not that strong anymore. We don't know when the voting happens.
But remember one woman also told us we don't want any freebies. हम खुददार हैं, हम खरीदना चाहते हैं, and all of that. So therefore that's why they want to become fiercely independent, which is why they're looking at government jobs. And which is why I think both the political parties understand that.
बीजेपी का तो पूरा 11 पॉइंट संकल्प पत्र वुमेन का अलग था बिल्कुल, फ्रॉम द मेन मैनिफेस्टो. तो वुमेन पे ही फोकस है हिमाचल में बीजेपी का. लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस, बिकॉज़ इट्स अ क्लोज फाइट. It's a very, very difficult election to predict. I think Himachal is one of the most toughest states to predict, because one thing is people don't speak so much also. If you ask them, even the person Ishwarda Sharma with Pallavi is asking, so I had asked him, किसको वोट डालेंगे? बोले बीजेपी भी अच्छा है, कांग्रेस भी अच्छा है, उस दिन देखेंगे.
He's not.
The women also don't speak much. Women, if you approach with a camera, women won't speak out openly whom they are voting for. It's, as मैंने कहा ना, it's a शांत state. वहाँ पे इतना bitter politics नहीं होता है. And this time also bitter politics has not happened. Even now in Himachal, it was a I think, a very civilized campaign
Yes.
for sorts.
Yeah,
Isn't
it
it?
has been a very civilized campaign. Interesting election. Small state, but important lessons for both the parties, BJP as well as for the Congress party.
So let's see what happens, and we'll be back on 8th December, of course, when the.
And we are going to be going to Gujarat before that. Aman and I will be doing a Gujarat special or Dhokla, whatever. So please, guys, watch out for that. If you have any questions, any suggestions before we travel to Gujarat, do give in your response on the social media tag.
Thank you so much for joining us from our newsroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you.